Hey there! The meaning of life, according to SBREBROWN. So I opened up Instagram, I asked people for some questions and that they would like to see me answer. And this was a very profound one. It has nothing to do with pens, but that's kind of what made it interesting. Meaning of life, where we came from, what happens to us after we die. I shall do my best. Now, you know very well that there is no definitive answer to this because people are going to debate this as they have for centuries. But I'm assuming that when you ask this, you're interested in my personal view. So I will try to answer these 3 questions, which can fill up multiple videos each. Meaning of life? None. I believe that. I don't believe that there is a specific meaning of life. I don't think there is a reason we exist. I just don't believe it. I've seen a lot of different things, highs and lows and different, but I simply don't believe there is a meaning to it. I do believe that you can give a meaning to it. And that's the hard part. And you have to figure out for yourself what that meaning is. I have chosen a profession that I like, and I don't want to make that sound more lofty than it is, but I teach at a post-secondary institution. And the way I look at my meaning in life, that's how I meant to say that, my meaning in life is that I can try to help young people discover what it is they want out of their own lives by teaching them things. In my case, that is psychology, and I focus on cognitive psychology and cognitive neuroscience and some statistics. And I use that trifecta of things to try and show them that there is a scientific approach you can take to studying behavior. And that is my meaning. I try to be as good as I can be at that, at doing that. I try to get people inspired and enthusiastic about what it is they can study. Everyone who's gone to school remembers bad teachers who discouraged them or were unable to explain something or had no compassion. I do try to be interesting and be able to explain something well and have compassion, do all these things. But to me, that's very rewarding because I can give my life meaning by watching other people discover the meaning of their lives. But having said that, and this ties into where we came from, what happens to us after we die, I don't believe there was anything preset. I do not believe, based on scientific reasoning, scientific evidence, I do not believe there is any meaning to any of this. I do not think at some point a higher power thought, Brown, let's put him on this earth so he can make videos about fountain pens. I don't believe that. Nor do I believe that that person or being had a plan for me that involved teaching at a post-secondary institution. I just can't believe it. I don't believe it because there is, in my mind, and your mileage may well vary, extremely little evidence to support that idea. Which brings us to where do we come from and where do we go? Like Cotton Eye Joe. Where do we come from? I have no issues believing that there was a primordial soup, and when the right circumstances arose, so did life. And some people, especially people with a very religious background, find that an offensive viewpoint, or they cannot get behind that viewpoint. Well, there is some evidence that points in that direction, but that's okay. I'm not trying to be negative towards religion. If you have religious viewpoints and that gives you comfort and it guides your life, then that's wonderful. It's just not for me. I've tried, it doesn't work for me. That idea of life just arose. The right circumstances were there. There was something monocellular. It evolved into more and more complex beings. I have no issues believing. And some people, again, they refuse to believe that. It's okay if you want to refuse to believe it, but that's for me. And I don't think life more or less accidentally arising when the right circumstances were there is any more magical than an all-powerful being that created everything and everyone because they thought it was a good idea. Again, I'm not trying to be offensive towards religious views, but I don't think the one is more or less plausible than the other. For me, right? So there we have that. The greatest and most mysterious question is, what happens to us after death? Well, how will we know? We'll only know when we die, won't we? But I really like the image of nothing, not a sausage. And I could try to give really compelling arguments of like an immaterial mind or a soul. Well, there's the laws of thermodynamics and conservation of energy, and an immaterial soul is very hard to unify with the conservation of energy principle. But it doesn't matter. Some people believe powerfully in that, others don't. For me, I'm a cognitive neuroscientist. I think that's how I identify. I think after everything I've done, everything I've studied, I think that's how I identify most. It doesn't have to be an extremely reductionist approach to me, but I do believe you are your brain. What happens in your brain, that makes you, for me, end of story. The whole processes that evolve there are kind of software, and the hardware is your brain. And what was a revelation for me was when I was in my very early teens, I had to undergo leg surgery. And I underwent full anesthesia. And it was a fairly long operation that lasted a number of hours. And here's what's fascinating. The anesthesia, I didn't inhale it, they just injected the liquid. And it becomes systemic, it's absorbed your bloodstream and goes through your body. And very quickly, within seconds, you feel it and you start to lose consciousness. And I thought it was fascinating because that's how I am. But my thought processes quieted down, and this sort of black curtain rolled down, and I ceased to exist. That's the only way I can put it, because in that state there were no thoughts, there were no dreams, there was no time. There was just an overwhelming nothingness. And then I woke up again, after again a number of hours. If the surgeon would have told me, you were gone for 5 minutes, I would have believed him. If he would have said you were gone for 72 hours, I would have believed him. There was no concept of time, no sensation, no perception. I couldn't hear anything, couldn't see anything, couldn't feel anything. There was just nothing. And in many ways, I found that a very comforting way of looking at things. If that is what death is like, nothing to worry about. Because there is nothing. You don't feel, you don't think, you just cease to be. One moment you're there, and the other moment you're not. And hopefully the process in between those two states is not too long, drawn out, or painful. It's just nothing. Even when I say blackness, it doesn't really cover it, because you don't see, there's nothing. And when I experienced that, I thought, if this is what death is like, and I have little trouble believing that's what death is like, how much anxiety is lost? You don't have to worry about heaven, where you will forever exist in a state of bliss, although if you read Dante's Paradise, In my mind, it gets a little creepy there, but I mean, that's just me. But imagine there would also not be any hell. There's just sort of a bifurcation. There's existing and not existing, and there's nothing in between. They don't have to worry about, I will be tortured for eternity and torn limb from limb, and then even though I get disintegrated, apparently I'm still alive and it keeps going. I don't even know how that works. But imagine you could let go of that fear and just think there is nothing. I'm there one moment and the next I'm gone. And of course there's I think it was Mark Twain, and I have to paraphrase here because this is from memory, but wonderful quote of, death does not bother me in the least because I've been dead for millions of years before I was alive and it didn't bother me. Again, paraphrase, not literal quote. I think that's exactly what it is. To me, that's it. There's nothing. And everything that is me, all the molecules, the atoms, all of that will go back into the universe. The carbon, the what have you, the zinc that is inside of me, you can't make, that came from the hearts of dying stars that exploded, shot that stuff all over the universe. Some of it ended up in you. You use that, we now know zinc ions as a neurotransmitter in certain cases, a signaling chemical in the brain. That'll go back into the universe when I die. And then other life can be created from that. That's all I want. I don't think I want to exist forever. I've done my time. I hope I have some time left, but we never really know, do we? I've done my time. I've been happy in life. I've suffered in life. And pretty much everything in between, as everybody has. And I think it is very appropriate that at some point that ends. And I don't need a heaven to live in bliss in a way that never ends, because I think that's the truly terrifying thought. It never ends. You're stuck there forever. Like forever. So 100 trillion years later, you're still stuck in heaven. It terrifies me. That I find it a more terrifying thought than hell. Because I mean, it's just the physics of it. At some point, you're pounded into dust by demons. There's nothing left. It can't last forever. It's physically impossible. But anyway, that's a different story. Eternity is the frightening thing. The brevity of life is what makes it interesting. And maybe that's the meaning of life. I once read a quote from someone, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. But it was, a man has 2 lives. The second life starts when he realizes he has 1 life. This is what I have, and I'm working on the premise. This is my scientific hypothesis. There was never any meaning. There is nothing after this. There is only the thought of the immediate moment. Right now I'm here. 20 minutes from now I could be dead. A meteorite could come right down, strike me down. I could have an aneurysm. I could have a heart attack. I could die any minute now. Right now is what I have. There's your meaning. The only thing you can do is make the most out of this particular moment, and then the next, and then the next, until there are no moments left and it all ends. And that's hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. This morning I woke up, I didn't feel great. I didn't feel great. I didn't know why. I just felt a little off. I didn't know what to do. I decided to make some videos. And I feel better now. Everybody struggles with these kinds of things. Sometimes your mood is off, you can't quite put your finger on why. There we are. I don't think that is because a higher power made me feel bad this morning. Like I can't. I just can't. And if you can, wonderful. If that gives you meaning into your life, stick with it. There you go. This is what I have. Sorry, I hope this wasn't weird or depressing or strange, but you asked, you wanted to get that insight. This is the meaning of life according to SBREBROWN. Try to be kind. I can't always. There are days I can't do it. And I hate myself for it. But I can't do it every day. But I try. And then I know I've made progress. I know I'm kinder now than I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Here we come back to Stoicism. Progress is enough. Try every day. Try to be kind. Try to do the right thing. I don't always, but I try. Try to help other people. I don't always, but I try. Try to not gossip. I don't always, but I try. And that's what gives my life meaning. Every moment, take it, try and do something good with it. And now that's really all I have. I have spoken. Hope that was useful. Notice that really carefully timed kick to the tripod. That was pretty good. I hope this was useful. I hope you found this entertaining or informative. I don't know, but there we are. Thank you for watching. If you have other things that you think I should really address, then I'm happy to. There we go. Bye.